Taken was released in 2008 and launched Liam Neeson right into the action star category next to Keanu Reeves and John Wick and friggin' Bruce Willis, anybody you can name. Taken 2 was released in 2012 and Taken 3 in 2014. Both of these were directed by Olivier Megaton, and the first original was directed by Pierre Morel. Now, all three of these were written by Luc Besson, which I didn't discover until recently rewatching them. Luc Besson is the director of The Fifth Element, Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets, Leon the Professional. He has a slew of great films, and for writing, I mean, he did a pretty good job writing all of these guys. And they all make for a pretty exciting trilogy. Everybody's favorite is the first film, and this is the one that most people like the best, and the one that kind of pretty much is the standalone. I mean, the other sequels are fairly unnecessary, although they give some thrills as well. This is what I would call, as I mentioned when I was talking about that movie Domestic Disturbance with Vince Vaughn and John Travolta. This is like the definition of a 3-star film, and I gave this 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. It is just the most basic action movie. I mean, the definition of action movie is right here. It does everything by the book. Its introduction, its conclusion, its action, its story, everything is absolutely super basic. And it is exactly the type of movie you perceive in your head when you think action movie. And Liam Neeson is pretty good in it. It's not a film that blew me away for those reasons exactly. Like, there's nothing that stands out in this movie other than it being a competent action movie kind of thing. And then we have Oliver Megaton, who, compared to Pierre and compared to Luc Besson especially, doesn't have the most legendary track record of action movies, although he did Transporter 3, which I didn't despise. He did Colombiana, which I wasn't a fan of at all, the remake of Colombiana, I mean. And then he did these two, and the second one, first of all, probably because I was in a really good mood watching this. From what I remember of this film before rewatching it recently, I remember it being adequate, just like the first one. Nothing terrible, nothing amazing, but on this viewing, I was originally going to give it 3.5 stars, which would be half a star more than the first one, but by its end, I enjoyed this a hell of a lot during this watching, and I can't complain about it as much as other people are complaining about it. I hear a lot of people say that this film is one of the worst shot action movies in the world. Now, unless they mean worst edited, I can get behind that. I mean, the editing is really fast and really quick cut, and like a lot of flashy shit going on with the editing and the post-production, but the way the action is shot, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. The choreography is fine, more than fine, and the camera work is fine. So I don't understand if when people say it's badly shot, they mean edited, like in post-production. But I can't see like the action, the shooting, like the camera work, the cinematography, or the choreography being poorly done at all, because it's really, really good. I really enjoyed this one during this watch. And then we have the third film, which again, by Oliver Megaton, but this one takes a huge dip. This really wanted to go big movie. I think he took some inspiration seemingly from like Michael Bay or Fast and Furious type thing. He definitely expanded the running time. This one's like an hour and 53 minutes, where the other ones are an hour and a half. At least I watched the extended cuts of all of them, so I don't know how they compare to the theatrical versions. Regardless, this one tried to go big movie, but the story just, in my opinion, tanked, and it just didn't hold the charm that the other films were and delivered, kind of thing. But going with plot, we have a classic daddy saves daughter story. Liam Neeson, delivers what he's asked to do perfectly. He is badass. It's basically an abduction story, essentially. He's a very overprotective dad because he has a history of being like, what does he call it? A situation preventer or something like that. He's having a conversation with his daughter about it, but he's like high up security kind of thing. And he, because of this, has experienced really bad situations and looks at the world as an extremely dangerous place. So he's way overbearing with his daughter, like beyond belief. He's having marital problems. At the beginning of the movie, he buys his daughter a karaoke machine for her birthday, and his daughter is living now with her mother and her new husband named Stuart, who is stupid rich. I mean, this guy's buying her a horse for her birthday, kind of thing. He walks in there with a karaoke machine, and the mother, who always makes bitchy, snarly comments, is like, "Yeah, she might have won that when she was 10." And she's like, "Oh, don't worry, we got a professional photographer when he wants to take a picture of her daughter with the on the whatever with the machine." Or for her birthday, and the mother's just always like making jabs and stuff like that. It's like, and they're living in this massive mansion, like friggin', do they have like 200 people at this girl's birthday? And then it's brought up that the daughter wants to go vacationing to Paris with her best friend, who is 2 years older than her. The Kim is the daughter. She's 17 in the movie, and then her friend is 19, and they want to go to Paris to go apparently like look at museums and stuff like that. And her dad is obviously very skeptical about this. However, he compromises with her going if she like calls him all the time and stuff like that. She goes, she gets kidnapped, yada yada. Her friend is also like a total party animal. They meet this guy named Peter as soon as they land at the airport in Paris, and this guy Peter is like, "Hey, you want to go to a party tonight?" And the 19-year-old's all for it, but the Kimmy, the 17-year-old is all like, "Yeah, I don't know. We just met this guy. Like, come on." But of course, the 19-year-old friend is immediately ready to fuck him and everything. But you know how it goes. And then they get kidnapped by these Albanian criminals who want to put them in the sex trade. This sex trade is going on in Paris, so it's kind of this sex trade is obviously all over Europe, but in this circumstance, they're working in France only. And Liam Neeson has basically like 72 hours to go track the girl down, his daughter, and save her pretty much. Now, this guy is a genius in finding people. I mean, the connections he has this guy named Jean Claude, and he uses him in the French embassy to kind of connect his way through all these sex trafficking rings, and it just there's cool action set pieces in the movie, and there's cool situations that he gets in. There's this one dinner scene that I love with Jean Claude, and he's caught to be bullshitting a little bit, so that whole dinner scene is tense. But it just moves way too quick of a pace, and like the believability is not always there. I understand this guy's a professional, Liam Neeson. His name's Brian in the movie, and I understand he has these skills that are like and decades of experience in them. But Jesus Christ, man, like he just ends up doing things that you're like, whoa, it's like just one thing after the other, and it's like, well, this is moving quite fast, and I don't see how one man can basically act like he's a one man army kind of thing in certain scenarios. If you get what I'm saying, kind of thing. Also, the daughter was lying. She said she was going to visit a bunch of museums, but in reality, she was following U2 on their European tour, basically. So she was not just going to go to France or anything like that, or Paris. She was also going to go to Spain and all that. Great chase scenes. There's one part where Liam Neeson, again, another suspend your disbelief moment. He saves this prostitute or sex traffic worker kind of thing from a ring, and then he brings her to a motel, and he sets up this whole IV for her, and he bends this coat hanger to like hang the IV, and it's like, you just carry all this shit with you, like it, what is this, all fit in one bag kind of shit. It's just funny. There's this electrocution scene where he's torturing the shit out of this one guy. That's really intense. And it builds to this climax that, again, is very basic, very by the numbers, but very effective. And it kind of doesn't overstay its welcome, and it delivers a very competent action movie that we're all here for, essentially. Now, Taken 2 basically upped the levels, and A lot of people, like I said, they're hating on this one, but and like I said, it's I originally thought it was like a little better, but with this viewing, I really had a good time with this for many reasons. One, I loved the setting of Istanbul. Istanbul's a great setting for this. I really bought the plot of it too, with the whole like the Albanians taking revenge on Liam Neeson's character and Brian, and it made every situation from the first film more intense, and it connected in a way that I really enjoyed. I love how they also embraced like the B movie factor of this, because the first one had some B movie elements to it, but this one just embraces the whole ridiculousness of the situation, and it feels kind of video gamey in moments. The chases are even better, the situations are even better. I do like how the three of them get kidnapped: Liam Neeson, the wife, and the daughter. And if you make that like the trilogy into like a 5 minute short, he's literally like the worst father in the world, because he's constantly putting his entire family in danger all the time. And I kind of want to make an edit where it's like his phone call in the first movie is like, "They're gonna take you, honey," and then the second one, "I have something to tell you. Me and your mother are gonna be taken. There's people coming after you too." And then just continue to the third movie and just show him as this like dangerous person to be around anybody ever if you ever want to be safe. But then at the same time, I mean, he's a professional killer, so he can protect the shit out of anybody at any time, clearly. But yeah, it ups the stakes. And I like how they just, even though things were ridiculous, like him on the phone with his daughter, telling her to like throw grenades so that they can show the proximity they are to each other. First of all, why would the villains kidnap him and then go take him to some secret room that's so close to where his daughter is? Like, wouldn't they transport him to another country? Let alone like around the block kind of thing. But it is what it is. And he's just smart about things. Like when they put the bag over his head and he's in the car, he's counting. It reminds me of that part in the movie The Collection. For anybody who's seen The Collector and The Collection, the main character in The Collection does the same thing. When he's captured, he starts counting so he knows the distance between like where he was kidnapped and where he was taken. Like that. And the grenade thing, even though it was kind of silly, it was cool that he like, it was clever how he used these things to show proximity and to kind of try and escape and find his daughter. When they make a cut on the wife's head and then pin her upside down and hang her by the legs, and he knows she's going to bleed out in 30 minutes unless he saves her, that was cool too, because it's not something I see a lot in movies that involve kind of torture scenes and stuff like that. Him getting out of like wherever he's tied up is way, way, way too convenient, to say the least. But he manages to, and then I just like every fight scene and every chase scene in this movie, and that's where I saw so many reviewers talk about how lame the action is and how bad the action is shot, and I'm like, yeah, I think you mean the editing, because the editing is like, and it's all like, like, you know, Buddy will be like throwing two punches and then it's like 10 camera shots cut kind of thing. That's editing. That's not the way the scene was shot. The way the scenes were shot were actually pretty damn good in my opinion. So this, by its ending, landed at a 4 out of 5 for me. I really enjoyed it. I like that scene where he finally gets the father of the guy who died in the first film, the villain, so the main villain of this movie, and he gives him a chance to get away, and he's like, "If you drop your gun right now, I'll forget everything." And as soon as Liam Neeson turns around, of course, he points it to his head again, and the gun's empty, and then Liam Neeson just shoves his head into a friggin' pipe or something like that. Corny, but enjoyable, and that's what I loved about this film most, is how glorified B movie it is, and I love that shit. Like it takes advantage of its theme, and it is unrealistic, but it has fun with it, and it does it properly, which is the opposite of what this does. This goes bigger and still has the glorified B moviness to it, but it's just so not clever. Is the opposite of that, and they expand the story so much. The biggest mistake I think in this one is killing the wife off immediately and putting her into the plot. And here's what I hate about this film the most, hands down, what I despise about this film is they bring Stewart back, okay? We saw Stewart in the first film, so we're familiar with who he is. But they use him in this and they utilize his character fully. They cast a guy who's 10 years younger than the guy who played Stewart in the first film. And this is 6 years after the first film. So they cast a guy who's younger than the actor who played in the first film to play Stewart. I'm looking at him like, this is the same Stewart, like the husband of the wife who left Liam Neeson, Stewart, the guy who threw the rich ass birthday party. It's the same guy. You kidding? Why? It's so dumb. Just switch the character. Just make her, oh, she left Stewart and now she married Bob and now Bob's doing this. It doesn't make any sense if you're going to make the same character way younger and look totally different. He's a good actor who played him. It's the guy who was in Death Race 3, who played the villain in Death Race 3. So he's a good actor, but he's not fucking Stewart. It just doesn't make any sense. So I despised that. Other than that, they turn Stewart into this huge, elaborate villain. They bring in some Russians with their plot, and Stewart owed these Russians a shit ton of money, so he wants Liam Neeson to go after the Russians and kill the Russians for him, basically. So he kind of makes this scheme where he fools Liam Neeson to meet up with his wife and fools he plants his wife, Liam Neeson's wife, to be killed essentially, and then she is, and he's basically framed for his wife's murder, and now the FBI and the authorities are after Liam Neeson, so he's a fugitive essentially, and he's trying to figure out like what's going on, who planned this scheme, who murdered his wife, and trying to protect his daughter at the same time. She's not taken in this movie, but she is involved because she's involved with the whole new family and Stewart and everything. And just stupid shit that happens. Like he wants to get close to his daughter, but he's not allowed to because the FBI are watching them both, and they can't be near each other because he's public enemy number one and the daughter's being protected. So to get close to his daughter, he poisons a yogurt in a convenience store so his daughter can go to the convenience store because she loves this yogurt drink, and she goes and she picks the right one, of course, out of like 100, and the one that she picks says "Drink me now." So what does she do? She drinks it. And then she goes to class, she starts to get nauseous, and then she goes to the washroom to get sick so that Liam Neeson can go to the washroom that she went to in a whole university. I mean, there's probably like 10, 12 washrooms in that place. She picked the right one, and he goes there and then gives her an antidote to not make her nauseous anymore, just so he can get close to her. Stupid. It's dumb. It's way too... It's dumb. The guy who played the villains essentially are funny at times. There's one time where this Russian villain is like trying to flirt with this clerk at some store, and he's like, "How do you get a bunch of rabbits at once in a desert or something?" And or how do you use a box of matches to get rabbits? And then he like takes a match out and pretends to like calling all rabbits, calling all rabbits. It's really stupid, but it's really funny. It made me laugh. Cool chases. One of my favorite... Actually, I will say there is a scene in this film that is probably one of my favorites in the franchise, is at the end when the plane is about to take off with Stewart and his stepdaughter, sorry, and then Liam Neeson is like whipping by in I think a Porsche, and he like slams into the wheels of the plane, and then the plane goes back down and doesn't take off. Severely unrealistic, but it's still played off that whole like Michael Bay action movie style, and it was really well shot, and I like how it was, again, it was that ridiculous over the top B movie scenario where it's very enjoyable even though it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Everything else around that, especially plot wise, is just a dip down to the worst, and it doesn't play out a clever plot. It tries to expand the plot, and it tries to make this grand finale of really a trilogy that doesn't need a grand finale. But it tries to do that, and it doesn't hit the mark at all. The daughter also isn't like too old, but um, she's not the kid that she was in the first film. I mean, the actress was 24 or 25 when she played in the first movie. So she's about 30 or 31 here ish, whenever this was filmed. And she's like a full grown adult, so you don't get that whole daddy saves daughter element or vibe. I mean, as good as the first one. You still do, but it's kind of like it's overstaying a little bit, kind of thing. But I'm glad they kind of took different directions with the way the plot goes and the motivations that everybody has, kind of thing. Even though they really butchered it when it came to Stewart, because like I said, wrong casting and such an easy fix too. That's why it pissed me off so much. But yeah, when it comes to the three of them, Taken is not my favorite just because it is pretty basic. I think Taken 2, honestly, I can say I like it better than Taken 1 because it glorifies its B moviness and it's just the most fun and the most entertaining of the three. And then Taken 3, it really goes that Hangover 3 route where it tries to do things way differently but doesn't exactly carry over the first two films into this very well. So it's fine, and it's also way too long. But it's not terrible. I think I gave it a 1.5 out of 5. The third one. So we got 3 out of 5 on Taken, 4 out of 5 on Taken 2, and 1.5 out of 5 on Taken 3. Binging them all is fun. The third one complements enough to be still a worthwhile watch, but most often I'm just going to be watching 1 and 2, and I'm probably going to be enjoying 2 the most for its entertainment value, kind of thing. And the third one does introduce some good chase scenes, like I said, too. Really great highway scenes, shot fairly well, but still with that like jumpy camera style. But it is what it is. That's the Taken trilogy. That's the 3 films. Take it as you will. What's your favorite? Leave it down in the comments if you like. And subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews. I will be back with more soon. Stay tuned for that. Check out what's on the channel already. Stay tuned for what's coming. Until next review, have a good one. Take care and cheers.